iPhone 14 review. Apple's curveball to iPhone upgraders. The iPhone 14 looks identical to the iPhone 13, but there's a 6.7-inch model called the iPhone 14 Plus that replaces the Mini. Under the hood, improvements include 6 GB of RAM, a 5-core GPU, Bluetooth 5.3, and multiple camera updates. Color options include Product Red, Blue, Purple, Midnight, and Starlight. Filled Circle 6.1-inch and 6.7-inch display sizes. Filled Circle Emergency SOS via satellite. Filled Circle Lightning port and notch remain. Filled Circle no SIM tray in the United States. Filled Circle A15 processor with 5-core GPU. Filled Circle prices start at $799. Apple announced the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus during the Far Out Apple event on September 7, 2022. Both the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus could easily be mistaken for their predecessors, minus the larger 6.7-inch model. Despite minimal external updates, Apple pushed these base models forward with several user-facing updates and quality-of-life improvements. The iPhone 14 Pro lineup saw more significant changes that widened the gap between iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 models, but customers have a clear throughline for features and prices from top to bottom. iPhone 14 in all colors. iPhone 14. Wireless carriers are offering incentives on Apple's iPhone 14 lineup, bringing the cost down to free in some instances. See each carrier for terms and conditions pertaining to the offers. iOS 17 was revealed during WWDC 2023, and features were mostly universal across Apple's ecosystem. A handful of features were tailored to iPhone 14 Pro, and its always-on display and dynamic island, but some features still work on the standard models. For example, Standby is a feature that turns an iPhone into a sort of smart display with interactive widgets. This mode shows up when the iPhone is placed on a charger and stood up in horizontal orientation, perfect for MagSafe stands. iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus. Apple revealed the next generation of iPhones during the Wanderlust event on September 12, 2023. 4 new models were introduced, including updates to the standard models. iPhone 15 and its muted color options. iPhone 15 and its muted color options. The iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus introduced multiple new features despite being non-Pro models. Updates include a 48-megapixels main camera, the dynamic island, and a USB-C port. The aluminium frame is slightly curved on one edge to increase comfort and grip. The back glass is one solid piece, including the camera bump, to improve repairability. These devices run the A16 Bionic and have USB 2.0 Type-C ports. Battery life didn't change, but the ultra-wideband chip was upgraded for improved location-based abilities. Added yellow color. Apple announced a new yellow color option for the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus via a press release in March 2023. The company has released a new color option in the spring over the last few releases to drive a spike in sales in an otherwise quiet quarter. The color is limited to the standard iPhone 14 models, and the iPhone 14 Pro model did not get a new color. This is likely due to the iPhone 14 Pro lineup already having a muted gold option that would be too similar to yellow. Yellow joins Apple's other color options for iPhone. Yellow joins Apple's other color options for iPhone. There is nothing functionally different about the yellow color option. It is priced identically and comes with the same storage options. iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus features. Apple has continued the approach of offering identical feature sets across models in the same device class. Therefore, there are no exclusive features for the larger iPhone 14 Plus besides the display size and battery life. Note that there isn't an iPhone mini in this generation. The 5.4-inch display size was eliminated in favor of the larger 6.7-inch model, allegedly due to a lack of demand for smaller iPhones. After months on the market, it seems less an issue with demand for a smaller iPhone versus demand for a fourth iPhone outside of the standard, Pro, and Pro Max models. Compared to the rest of the iPhone 14 lineup, the Plus model hasn't been selling as well. Apple announced a handful of new features for iOS 17 that will benefit most of its existing products. Some will be more useful for iPhone 14 Pro thanks to its always-on display, like standby, but that doesn't mean standard iPhone 14 models are being left out. Design. Besides some slight color changes, the iPhone 14 looks nearly identical to the iPhone 13 it replaces. The notch, diagonal rear camera system, and aluminium chassis are the same. The 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display is 460 pixels per inch. The design hasn't changed year over year. The bigger iPhone 14 Plus is a new model but takes on all aspects of the smaller version, including the same-sized camera bump. It uses a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR display at 458 pixels per inch. However, it does not have promotion like the Pro model size it is emulating. Like the iPhone 13, the iPhone 14 displays support HDR, True Tone, and have a P3 color gamut. The OLED screen on the iPhone 14 offers a 2:1 contrast ratio and 800 nits of brightness in normal use. Visible display ad. The only notable design alteration is the lack of a SIM card tray in the US version of the iPhone 14. Apple has gone all in on eSIM support, so users won't have to bother with physical cards anymore. Internally, the design has changed considerably. Apple reconfigured the logic board and other systems to rely on a central aluminium core for support. This enables the front and back glass to be much easier to remove, vastly increasing repairability. Cameras. Apple updated the newly dubbed main camera, formerly referred to as the wide camera, with a larger 12-megapixel sensor with a wider f1.5 aperture. This enables higher quality photos and faster low-light performance from the iPhone 14. Apple clocks this at a 49% improvement in low light. The 12 megapixels main camera has better low light performance. The 12 megapixels main camera on the iPhone 14 has better low light performance. The ultra-wide camera is unchanged, and there was no mention of the macro photography feature coming to non-Pro phones. Apple would need to add autofocus to the ultra-wide camera to enable the feature. The selfie camera is improved with an f1.9 aperture and autofocus. When combined with the depth sensors used for Face ID, the selfie camera can take better photos faster. Also, improvements in the chipset enable 4K recording when using cinematic mode. Users can set 30 fps or 24 fps and take advantage of the better camera performance. Emergency SOS via satellite. Apple developed special antennas and equipment so the latest iPhone 14 models could connect to a satellite miles above the Earth's surface without a giant antenna module. This system is meant primarily for emergency purposes. Communicate via satellite in emergency situations. Communicate via satellite in emergency situations. With a clear view of the sky or below light foliage, a user with an iPhone 14 can activate emergency SOS via satellite to send out a distress signal. The device will walk the user through prompts to ensure communication is kept short while being detailed. UI on the display shows the user which direction to point the iPhone to get the best signal from the satellite. Messages sent using this method can take anywhere from 15 seconds to several minutes to relay. There's a non-emergency use for this as well. If a user wants to update friends or family on their location in the wilderness, the iPhone can use a satellite signal to relay that location data. A short demo of this feature is available within the Settings app to help users familiarize themselves with how it works. This way, in a true emergency, it won't be the first time a person has seen the system in action. Emergency SOS via satellite launched to customers in November 2022. The service will be free until late 2024. Crash detection. The iPhone 14 lineup, Apple Watch Series 8, second-generation Apple Watch SE, and Apple Watch Ultra have purpose-built sensors and algorithms for crash detection. If the user is in a severe car crash, the iPhone or Apple Watch will contact emergency services. The iPhone will contact emergency services if a severe crash is detected. The iPhone 14 will contact emergency services if a severe crash is detected. If both devices are present, they will work in tandem to determine if a crash has occurred. The technology isn't foolproof, however, and can be triggered by non-crash events like some roller coasters. Crash detection in the iPhone 14 utilizes an upgraded high dynamic range gyroscope, high G-force accelerometer, barometer, GPS, microphone, and advanced motion algorithms to determine if a severe crash occurred. Apple designed the algorithm to detect front impacts, side impacts, rear-end collisions, and rollovers. If the user doesn't dismiss the alert in 10 seconds, another 10-second timer starts. After that, emergency services are contacted. An automated message with an estimated location and search radius will be played to the emergency services on a loop. Each replay will play back quieter to give the user a chance to speak to emergency services, and a button can be pressed to stop the recorded playback. Multiple sensors and an advanced algorithm determine if a crash has occurred. Multiple sensors and an advanced algorithm determine if a crash has occurred. After hanging up with emergency services,